Hello TBI people, it's your boy Jake coming in with a deck profile. I have been long since gone, but I have resurrected. Thought we'd try out this in the format of a live stream you can comment on and post. So here we got our deck profile for Netman deck. It just came out and level up Heroes and Adventures, and I'm a huge fan of Mega Man, and they changed the attribute name to computers, so my computer nerd side totally went off. Now, if I just take this and where camera goes into the air, first, we have our boy, Super Fighting Robot, Netman. Capcom, cry in your sleep. So this is Computer Warrior Netman. He's the heart and soul of your deck. He's a size 2, 6'2", who has no call cost. Let's put this over here. Who has no call cost, and once per turn, you can activate one of these two abilities, as well as having Soul Guard and Transform for 2 gauge. And his two abilities, let's take a look and focus, is Blue Charge. Put any computer card from your drop zone into his soul, and if you do, gain 1 gauge. Or Net Shot. Pay 1 gauge and put a soul from this card into the drop zone. If you do, burn 3. Now, what I'm going to quote from a person, the card protagonist is, burning 3's never been simpler. Used to be 4 gauge for Green Angel Punisher. Sorry about that. Now it's pay 1 gauge, burn 3. And there are multiple ways to do this per turn. I'll explain this at the end once we've gone through all the cards. Next, like Mega Man.exe, who it's based on, he has many forms. We have our backup transform, Red Reboot. As a monster, like the other one, they have no call cost. Transforms also 2 gauge, and he has Soul Guard. But his stats are 7-2-1 for a size 2. His charge gains him a life and a soul, as well as paying a gauge and taking out the soul gives him double attack and penetrate for the turn. So this thing becomes an offensive beast. And on its own, it can actually poke a pretty good hole against some defenses. Next, we have our Robot Master, because now we're mixing a couple of Mega Man series. Computer Warrior Assemble, basically a form of Gutsman. Call cost, put the top card of the deck into the soul and pay 1 gauge, so it's got the same call cost as Drum. And it has Soul Guard, and if you have another computer on the field, all attacks are redirected to this thing first. It's got 5-2-4 and size 2. So this is actually a pretty good way to play defense. You can stall out pretty good with some of your cards, since you do get to recycle your cards from the drop zone in order to get this back. Otherwise, it kind of just sits there. Next, we have our buddy, because this is obviously Hero World. 5 copies of Computer Warrior Archive. Stat-wise, he's basically 1000 Rapier Dragon, but he is essential to one of your main combos. When he enters the field, take a computer card from your drop zone, put it into the soul of a computer monster or an item on your field. Not that you have any backup items, but this will basically let you stock soul for free. That means if you don't have any transforms out or a way to get one, you give Assemble an extra hit, or set up Red Reboot, or set up regular Netman. After that, it's a 5k beater, which you don't have too many of. Next, we play your copy of Base, Computer Warrior Hackman. Pay a gauge when this card enters the field. If you have another computer monster, wherever it entered the field to, whatever is in the same column as it gets bounced to hand, and it has move. So what I like to do is use a certain spell to counter call it to your center, or counter call it to center, and then it takes a hit, or you can call it to center, get rid of their center, and move to the right. So you've still got the hit. We play that at 3 copies. He's a 5-2-1, and paying 1 gauge honestly is worth it. Next, we have another engine to the deck. Size 1, 3-1-1, 3 copies of Computer Warrior Protocolulu. Basically, this thing is roll. Like, you can't deny it. It's just sexism. But Computer Warrior, when this card enters the field, if you have another computer monster on field or computer item, draw 1 card, and you can its other ability You can get rid of a soul from a computer card you're transformed into to gain 2 gauge. So not only she draws no matter what, she is gauge excel aplenty. And you need gauge in this deck. Now that would be all the computer monsters, but in order to get our combos up, we need to play a couple non-computer cards. First would be a size 1 Rescue Dragon Fire Brigade, a shop promo from, I think it was last July, maybe August. Rescue Dragon Fire Brigade. So it's size 1, 2, 2, 1. When this card enters the field, you may select a monster or select a card in your drop zone and pay a life. If you do, you may take the chosen card and put into the soul of a monster or item on your field. And it has move, so it becomes a body. This card is honestly a great setup for so many Hero World decks. And we'll get into the combos at the end of the video. Last but not least, 4 copies of this motherfucker, Demon's Assassin Zyogre. This is the hardest fucking promo to find because it just came out in Level Up Adventures and Heroes. So this is an Oni Assassin Dark Hero promo, size 0, 2, 1, 1, Katana World, Hero World. Select a monster in your field and reveal this card from your hand. Once you do, place this card into the soul face down of that card, as well as having ambush. And at the end of its battle, if you have an item equipped, return the card to your hand. This single-handedly does its own play with Netman, so it's definitely a great setup, and we'll explain it near the end of the video. And that's all my monsters, not counting impact monsters, because I do play one. Now, a generic spell. 2 copies of Gambit. See, there would be the other one over there. This does have an Orion on it, but it's not all that important. Return all monsters from the field to the hand once per turn. That's about it. It's a big combo starter. Now, the great thing about this deck is a lot, just like Dragon Knights or certain other things, a lot of its spells also work with the attribute that the monster works with. Every Hero World spell that's made for this archetype is also a computer attribute, just like Logout. Counter, return a computer from your field to your hand. Now, the great thing about this is, let's say I'm transformed into Netman, right? And I have just enough to make combos happen multiple times. I can log out my weapon, call it again, do its stuff, and then transform into it one more time. I've actually had to run that specific play once or twice. So, it ends up being pretty worth it. Next, we have Ctrl C, if you haven't noticed all the naming puns. It's all based on computers. You may only cast this card if you have a computer on your field. Put up to 1 computer from your deck to your hand. You may only use this once per turn. Basically your search card. What else can you do? Next, we have our Nullifiers. First is Ctrl XV, or Ctrl Cut Paste. So you may only cast this card during an attack on your opponent's turn. Cast cost, bounce a computer monster from your field to your hand. Then its ability is to counter call a computer monster from your hand by paying its call cost, and change the attack target to this card, or to that card. This card is great because if you have things you can't nullify or reduce, use it, call something to your side, and you pretty much nulled the attack. Or you kind of do shenanigans with Hackman or Assemble. Or even, I've used it just to get Archives effect off and set up for the next turn. Next, our other Nullifier, Backspace. So this works like a Battle Aura Circle that's attribute specific, only cast this if you have no center and a computer card on field. But, after you nullify the attack, if a computer monster has already been destroyed when you cast this, you get to add any computer monster from your drop zone to your hand, so it basically becomes a 1-for-1. Next, we have to have some kind of generic Nullifier, play 4 copies of a scene through your moves, and if I forgot to mention, all the computer spells are at 4, because, you need max amount. Then, just for show-offs, I put them all separately. 3, 1, 2, 3 copies of Hyper Energy, all different arts, because we don't need Kuteto art. Nah, get that crap out of here. We have the cool ones. But basically, charge 4 gauge once per turn, all that yada. And then a spicy tech 1-of that I like to play, Wind Demon Aura. This is a recent shot promo. It's an impact monster. 4/1, 4 size 1. When this card attacks, discard up to 2 cards, then draw equal to the amount you discarded. Basically, it's a way to filter out for cards faster. So maybe I can get into Z-Ogre or Netman faster, or a way to search, you know, all that junk. Basically, it's filter. And then it pokes for 1. Why not? Now, the whole point of this deck, if you don't already know, is Netman basically net shots, and you want to do that to burn and then attack for whatever you attack for that turn. What most people don't realize is, or some people don't realize is, you know, if you call it, you say Z-Ogre to give it soul, you pay your gauge, it burns 3, now Z-Ogre has also been ambushed into the field, then you can transform into Netman, and you can do it all, and do all his abilities again. Because every time this card leaves the field and enters as a new card, either an item or a monster, you can redo the effects as long as they're separate, because they're considered separate copies. That's why we play a lot of returning cards such as Gambit and Logout. The entire point is to constantly burn and burn and burn, and so all I need to do is I burn 9 on turn 1, cool, let me smack you for 2, and that's 11 damage turn 1 or by the end of turn 2. When it works, and it's a lot easier than you think it is to work, it's pretty sensational. And it makes it work really well. Well, this has been my deck profile on my Netman deck. For the quick note, this is the first time I'm trying a new format to live stream my deck profile, so you guys can comment and post. Leave a comment saying how it worked. See if it really made a difference. If not, if this is a good way we could also be doing it. Alright, see you later, guys. TBI Jake signing out. Peace.